Conscious Leadership Podcast, the human side of leadership, where consciousness meets practical business leadership. The podcast dives into real challenges managers face, from team motivation to navigating change. Discover actionable insight, proven strategies, and inspiring stories to help you lead with clarity, authenticity, and impact. Whether you are an SME owner, a team leader, or simply passionate about conscious leadership, this podcast will equip you with the tools to build stronger teams, foster trust, and achieve sustainable success. Tune in, lead consciously, and make a difference. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Conscious Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Boris Nedved. Today, we're diving into something kind of counterintuitive in a world obsessed with acceleration. Slowing down is the true superpower of leadership. We live in a culture that worships speed. Faster deals, quicker growth, constant scaling, 24/7 hustle. But here's the paradox. The faster leaders move, the less they see. And when you don't see clearly, you don't lead. You just react. This episode I called The Speed Trap, Why Slowing Down is a Leadership Superpower. And I want to share why conscious deceleration is not laziness, it's not weakness, but the very edge that separates reactive managers from resonant leaders. So what is the culture of speed and its costs? Let's start with the obvious. Speed kills. Not just on highways, not just on racetracks, but as well in businesses and in boardrooms. When everything is urgent, nothing is really important. When leaders are stuck in perpetual acceleration, their nervous systems collapse into a fight or flight mode. And in that state, you can't think long term. You can't sense your team and what is going around you. You can't hear your intuition. You default to short-term fixes, shallow decisions, and endless reactivity. I've seen it over and over again in corporate environments. Entire organizations addicted to speed, confusing activity with effectiveness, busyness with value. And the result? You can see it. Burned out leaders, disengaged teams, and businesses that sprint their way straight into incoherence. Speed creates the illusion of progress. But clarity doesn't come from going faster. It comes from slowing down enough to see what is actually there. Let me ground this with some stories. A short while ago, I hiked up to the Gornergrat in Switzerland to take in the view of the Matterhorn. I've written an article about that. On the way up, I noticed something striking. I went up fully prepared. Rain gear, water, food, hiking sticks, and I paced myself, knowing the mountain weather can shift in minutes despite the best weather forecast. But many others, they rushed off the train in sandals, in Birkenstock, in Crocs, carrying selfie sticks, barely prepared for altitude, let alone sudden bad weather. They were focused on speed. Getting the photo, ticking the box, having been there, done that kind of thing. I remember thinking, this is exactly what leadership looks like in our companies. Racing to the summit with no preparation, no resilience, no depth. Or take another example. I won't take it from the racetrack. What fascinated me wasn't the raw speed and isn't the raw speed. It's the discipline of braking. Great drivers don't win by just twisting the accelerator. They win by knowing when and how to slow down. Braking at the right time sets you up for the cleanest, fastest exit out of the corner. It's about decision making in the moment, allowing their instincts and skills to kick in. This brings me to two very personal lessons from my own experience. In late September 2018, I found myself on the racetrack with my motorbike. It was the last session of the final day in the last event I was booked for that year. The weather was simply perfect. Sunshine, blue skies, around 22 degrees. Perfect situation for the racetrack. Ideal conditions. Towards the end of my second lap, I felt something weird. I felt an impulse in my gut. Something is strange, Boris. Leave the track. Get back to the paddock and call it a day. Call it a season. It's done. So I positioned myself to exit the track. But then my brain intervened and kicked in. Oh, wait a second. It's such a perfect day. You love this track. It's your last session of the season. You paid for it. And the next season doesn't start until April. Have you ever had such a dialogue in your brain? Well, my brain convinced my body. I looked around, saw no one is coming, and pulled back on the track. I made a left turn, sped down the main straight, turned into a long left, then pushed over to start a long right turn. Bang! The front wheel went out. I was sliding across the asphalt. Did I learn from it? Not quite yet. I repaired the motorbike over the winter, and by April 2019, I was ready for a 4-day event in southern Spain. On the first day, during the first session, it was raining. I just went out to test the bike if everything is okay. I was in rain gear, I was with rain tires, and was doing it very slowly, very easy. As the session progressed, the rain stopped, and I changed during the break to slick tires before my next scheduled session. However, I felt it was clear that I should sit out the next session. I didn't feel ready. But then 2 of my racetrack mates came over and convinced me to join them. There are fewer people on track, since they are all waiting a bit longer. We have the track more or less to ourselves and we can take it easy, come on. So, yeah, they had good arguments and my brain agreed, despite my gut feeling very uneasy. I finished the outlap, passed the start-finish line, started braking for the 90-degree left turn. Bang! Front wheel touched an oil spot and I went down. Collarbone broken. Second session, first day, on a 4-day event. Some might say this was just pure coincidence and bad luck. For me, it was a wake-up call to start listening to my gut intuition, because it happened twice already that my gut was telling me something and I did not listen. My brain tricked it and intervened. Ignoring my body's signals led to painful consequences. And these experiences taught me the fundamental importance of trusting my gut over my brain in decision making. This is well a key aspect of human design. Your body decides. Your brain spits out the ideas to reach what you decided. And here's the leadership link. This decision-making process is fundamental to living and leading authentically. My brain had tricked me into ignoring my body's wisdom. I learned the hard way that gut feelings should not be dismissed. When you slow down, you create the space to hear that intuition, to hear your intuition. Without that, you'll override it every time. But when you listen, you align. So next time you're faced with a decision, I invite you to remember my story and consider listening to what your body is trying to tell you. Slowing down isn't just philosophy, it's as well biology. When you pause, when you breathe, when you let your system reset, your nervous system shifts out of fight or flight and into a regulated mode. From survival into coherence. And a regulated nervous system doesn't just feel better. It makes you as well a better leader. You hear your team differently. You sense emotional dynamics more clearly. You notice the subtle signals, the hesitation in someone's voice, the tension in the room, that speed would have drowned out. I want to bring another example from my racetrack experiences. It's about slowing down in a very fast environment. I don't know if you know Mugello. Mugello in Italy is a wonderful track. I just love it. And I've been there a couple of times. It has a more than 1 kilometer long straight that comes over a crest and leads into a 180-degree right turn. So I came down to that point with approximately roughly a speed of 300 kilometers per hour. And here's my revelation. The more I was in the moment, the more I was there in the now, slowing down my brain to just this 1 to 2 seconds in front of me, really forgetting about the past, the last couple of corners, allowed me to become faster. Seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? One day during my stay there, I was called from the office. There was a major hiccup, and they needed my help by having me in calls and creating ideas on how to solve the situation. My mind was occupied with these questions, making me more or less constantly thinking about it. What happened? I almost crashed twice at this point, end of the straight, missing my braking marks. I don't want to imagine what happens if you fall down from a motorbike with 300 kilometers per hour. These crisis moments at work and the thoughts did not allow me to become grounded in the moment. They didn't allow me to slow down, to go fast. And I see that often in the business world. Rush, 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 without stopping to reset, to recalibrate, to become grounded again. And human design confirms this. Not everyone is designed to make snap decisions. Some of us need emotional clarity over time. Some need to wait for recognition or for an invitation. Some need to feel what's right in the gut in the moment. But none of us are designed to be pressured by artificial urgency all the time. When you align your timing, your own inner timing with your design, your decisions feel different. They land, they resonate, and they last. For me, the greatest lie of leadership today is the hustle. We glorify speed, busyness, exhaustion. We turn burnout into a badge of honor. But hustle is just a fear in disguise. It's the fear of missing out. It's the fear of irrelevance. It's the fear of not being enough unless you're always in motion. Rejecting hustle isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing what matters. It's about tuning into your inner clock instead of obeying to the false urgency of the outer world. Slowing down allows as well to have time to learn and to incorporate and master your learnings. And here's the radical truth. When you slow down, your team does too. You as a leader, your presence regulates the field. And in that calm, decision becomes clearer, conversations deepen, and creativity emerges. Speed drives disconnection. Stillness and slowing down creates resonance. And this is for me the superpower of slowing down. So here's my invitation to you. Stop running. Step out of this speed trap. Slow down actively. Start by asking yourself, where am I reacting from urgency instead of responding from my own inner clarity? What decisions I'm rushing that really needs more space to ripen? What's one place in my life where slowing down could actually accelerate my alignment? Because the paradox of conscious leadership is this. Slowing down doesn't make you less effective. It makes you more potent. You stop scattering your energy and start directing it with precision. As I learned on the mountain and as a racer, speed without rhythm is chaos. True mastery is knowing when to pause, when to breathe, when to brake, when to slow down. If this resonates, I invite you to visit humaninthecenter.com, my website, where you can explore how Human design and my services and the energetic tools help leaders find their own true inner timing and reclaim the clarity that only comes from slowing down from within you. Thank you for tuning in. Until the next time, stay intentional, stay conscious, and keep leading with purpose from the inside out. Thank you for listening to the Conscious Leadership Podcast. Look forward to the next episode to come, and stay intentional, stay conscious, and keep leading with purpose. Until the next time, bye.